They're
Oh
all
my
dead.
goodness. Because I was like, okay, Goto's voice sounds familiar. Who else does he
Yeah.
voice? Do you remember that?
Who?
Okay, in the Old Republic, your bounty hunter
Yeah.
character, and she picks up
Yeah.
that Dovarian, the guy with the two horns, well, the one broken off horn.
Yeah.
He voices Galt. Goto and Galt have the same voice. Yes,
But I had thought she had gone to
That's
Kotor with the
crazy.
others.
that is because it's like I barely caught. Like, wait, he sounds familiar.
Yes, she holds the last of the Jedi teachings. It is good she survived.
Is it really?
I had not finished my investigations here, and I did not wish to reveal myself. There was nothing I could do.
My goodness, he was also Colonel Derek. Remember, in the Shadow Rabbit storyline. Oh my goodness. So this guy's actually a good voice actor. He just had a terrible part in this game.
What I can tell you,
Man.
I will. It is a long story, but there is no harm in you knowing, and someone should know. Only a handful of us remained after the Jedi Civil War, barely 100 in number. Then, even that 100 began to vanish, in places where the Force seemed blind. The only pattern we determined is that when Jedi gathered, they were seen no more. At the last Jedi conclave on the Miraluka world of Kotor, the entire planet was wiped out, an entire race destroyed, because the Jedi chose to gather there. It was only then that we realized we were facing something far more powerful than we knew how to fight.
Oh snap.
Is that why you
We could
hid?
not allow the fact that when we gathered, we placed everything around
Oh
us
my
at
goodness,
risk.
speaking of Kim Possible, he also voiced like
We
characters
could
in
not
Kim
allow our
Possible.
presence or actions to endanger others. And we cannot fight an enemy that will not reveal itself. But any Jedi, anyone who was strong in the Force, who attempted to track down such a threat, vanished without a trace.
That's hilarious.
It does, but you must step back to see it. Whatever this threat was, it was targeting us and everything around us. Yet it was somehow weak enough that it was afraid to confront us openly. If it believed us defeated, then perhaps it would finally show itself. It was a faint hope, but it was the best we had. It was Kavar's plan. He was always the greatest tactician among us, and had seen war more than the rest of us.
You gotta be kidding me.
Very well. We told you it was because you followed Revan to war, but you ask because you are not certain of that answer. Nor were we. The day we cast you out, that is the moment I decided to leave the Order, because I do not believe we truly
Hey.
faced the reasons you were exiled, and if we do not
Man,
discern such truths, then we are already lost. I think it was because we were afraid. It is a difficult thing to live one's
you
life
got
with
that
a
part
purpose.
right.
Gets
To
it.
see a vision of what it would be like to be severed from it, it is more frightening than you know.
I had
Very well.
questions.
I had thought
Mm.
perhaps that here upon the smuggler's moon, I might find some evidence of the threat we faced. The bounties on Jedi and their disappearance. I did not believe the two were connected, but there was a chance. And the strong currents of life here on Nar Shaddaa make perceiving a Force user difficult. I could use it to cloak my movements and watch without being discovered.
That's not the only reason. You came here to hide.
No, you are right. That is not the whole truth. It is difficult to detect a Force user on Nar Shaddaa, and I knew it. This threat we face, it leaves wounds in the Force when it strikes. It leaves nothing.
And you were afraid.
To live life without the Force,
Mhm.
to vanish and die and leave only an echo, it was terrifying. To be connected to all life around you, then to have it stripped, I can only imagine what it must have been like for you. But even that imagining cannot compare with the truth. But there is more than that. On Nar Shaddaa, one cannot escape what was left from the Jedi Civil War. From the failure of the Masters, From our failure to properly train Jedi came disaster, and I wondered if perhaps the teachings of the Jedi had been our failing all along. There have been so many failures by teachers who believed in the code with all their being. Master Arca failed Ulik, as Master Boss failed Exar Kun, as
How
Kay
did they
failed
fail
Vader,
him?
and the others of the Council failed Revan and Malak. For all the
Mm-hmm.
acts we do to preserve the galaxy, from such an arrogance that all we do is right and just, I wonder if there is a counter effect that is created that strikes back at us. Exar Kun, Ulik Keldroma, Malak, Revan, you, all Jedi. There is something wrong in the Force, a wound, a sound that is growing, like a scream. You can hear it echo in Nar
Scream.
Shaddaa. Sometimes when the moon is on orbit, it is a frightening thing to feel. That perhaps being connected to all life is not enlightenment at all, but simply another doom. And I think
Oh.
that maybe, perhaps, to forsake the Force as you did, to cut loose our bonds, may not be the wrong thing to do. You taught me something important in the council chamber long ago, Exile, and it has stayed with me all these years. You were right to do what you did, everything you did.
Yeah.
Man.
I don't agree with the whole we failed everybody. I don't think you failed everybody. I think you
Yeah.
failed with the exile and when the Republic asked for help during the Mandalorian Wars, I think you failed then. But if you were sticking to the Jedi teachings, which is about compassion and serving others, not focusing on self, and then your students decide, no, I want to be a selfish blankety blank, that's their
Mm-hmm.
choice. As a teacher, you can only do
Yeah.
so much. You can yeah, you control people, but the second they're out of your control, that's why you have to teach people. That's why you have to train. You have to get their heart right. You can teach
Yeah.
someone, and going almost back to the intelligence and wisdom thing, I could, okay, if I just sat you down and told you all the things about calculus or whatever, and then I put all the formulas in front of you, but I didn't bother to actually teach you. If I just told you, here's all the rules, and I expect you to get 100% on this test, that doesn't do anything. But if I actually sat there and took the time to explain everything and how you can use it here and here, and there are times, sometimes you have to do the formula a bit different over here with this thing. So I don't think the Jedi teachings are screwed up. I think
Indeed.
what's screwed up is when this council, when it came to the Mandalorian Wars, let
Yeah.
fear take over. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just don't like the idea, oh, we failed them. Well, I'm sorry, but the other person still has free will. And that means
Exactly.
there's always the chance they're going to do wrong.
Like it kind of like makes me think of this conversation I had with my mom a year or so ago, where you know, let's talk about the gospel. Like you can be raised in the church, you can be
Mm-hmm.
taught about like God and Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to gain that knowledge for yourself. Your parents and your church members can only do so much before
Exactly.
you yourself gain that testimony and that belief and such.
You have to
And
make that
that's
choice.
yourself. Exactly.
Am I
And
gonna put
so,
am I gonna put God in front of my life, or am I gonna be the main focus of my life? That's
mhm.
that's what's gonna come down to. People have a
Yeah,
choice what they want to do. So
indeed.
I,
I
I
think
I
it's really
think
good
Zez
to because
Kyle I
mhm.
think Zez Kyle just has a lot of guilt because I don't think we got
Yeah.
to this question yet because he has a Padawan that went off to war and died.
Right.
So I think he's just feeling a lot of guilt. Oh, I failed them.
Mhm.
I don't know
So
how
he's
to
kind of
break this to
channeling
you,
that.
but when someone goes to war, there's a pretty good chance they're going to die. I'm
You know what?
sorry.
Like, you know what? That makes sense because last week, so my boyfriend, he was playing Battlefront. Have you
Hmm.
ever heard of Battlefront?
Yeah.
So I am not 100% sure if some of the characters that appear in it are based off of actual soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
but even if they aren't, they don't matter because of how much truth that they do have. Like like for example, one of the characters that you play is an Italian man. It's after the Italians it's during World War II after the Italians like after their something happens to their leader. I can't remember if he was killed or whatnot. They pretty
Mm-hmm.
much said like screw the like screw the Japanese and the Germans and like bowed out and and joined the others and such. So it's at that point in history. And but like I said, this man went to war with his twin brother, and his twin brother died. And that is
Uh-huh.
such a true thing. And I was telling that to my mom the other day, and she told me that like some families would have their all their sons go to war and none of them come home. That's
Mm-hmm.
just the price of war. You are literally putting your life on the line and
Yep.
such. Like you are fighting for a cause and such. You're not going like, yeah, I'll survive. It's like if it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And if
We're
any
not
other
going out
forces
for
of
tea and crumpets, you know.
no and such. So and does it suck? Yeah, it does. But it's like you can't control what people do. My grandpa had a chance to go to war and he decided not to. He went on trains to hide and got arrested. And they're like, you need to go and fight." And he's like, "Nah, arrest me. I ain't going." And I don't think of him as a coward. I think he knew that he would not been able to be well in war, and that's perfectly fine. It's not for everybody. But if one can, I admire them and respect them. But yeah, anyways.